Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're on the East Coast in the Central Time Zone, like myself here in Minneapolis, or on your drive-in on the West Coast, we really appreciate taking the time and attention. Whether you are joining live or viewing this in a recording, today we are going to be jumping into how to really unlock the value that is built up within all of your databases, whether you're in the real estate or mortgage industry. Um, we're here joined today with Mira from Unbroken Consulting to dissect and help you guys all get more out of the investments you're making into time, or if you're using a third party platform or investing in lead generation, to now help you create a easily repeatable and predictable process within your business using the power of big data as well as artificial intelligence. So we got to throw AI out there as well. So Mira, say hi to everybody, and we'll
Hi
get started.
everyone.
Love it. All right. So to set the stage for everybody today, what Mira and I want to break down for everybody is the immense amount of gold that is already in your database. We work with a number of clients that are using the best in class CRM and database solutions. They're centralizing first party information from incredible sources, whether it's a lead gen source like a Zillow, a realtor.com, Ylopo, Easy Home Search, for example, that are bringing you new leads as well as helping you generate activity from maybe aged leads or leads that you generated 6+ months ago. That information can be unlocked. And we want to help you do that. And to date, it's really been let's generate activity, that first party information, who came into our database last week. Let's talk to those people first. And then who's opening emails, who's clicking, where is that first party information? And now, with the power of Agent Legend as well as Unbroken Consulting, is really generating an incredibly predictable process for your business as you're moving forward. And so we can unlock and harness its awesome potential. And really, whether you're an independent agent, a team ridge, or a brokerage, is really unlocking that and using it to your competitive advantage in your marketplace. Most people are oftentimes, if they don't have the immediate gratification of converting a lead when it enters into the system on day 1 through 14, they'll often move on. You'll get the feedback loop from your agents that the leads suck. Well, we know that leads can take time to work their way down the funnel. And leads aren't just people that you have never worked with before. Leads are also past clients, right? Past clients. You have an opportunity to increase lifetime value with everybody that's within your database. And that's the power of what we're going to be diving into as we continue along. And ultimately, knowledge alone is not power. And this is where Mira and how we work with Mira and her team really comes into play. And so, Mira, I'll turn it over to you as to once you now have the data at your fingertips, just a quick primer of what people will see as we work through the presentation today.
Yeah, so once we have the knowledge, we know the data, we know where everyone is at, we know everything about them. Now we will discuss like few steps. So step one that we're gonna go through is like data cleaning and make sure that we have the right data for those people. Step two will be strategy, because everything it's about the strategy and how we're gonna get in touch with those people. And then step three is sharing with you how we can go all in and turn this knowledge and data that we have into action and start getting your ROI on this.
Love it. Love it. Big process and procedure person on our end. So I love it, Mira. I'm excited for you to share that. For anybody that's in attendance right now, most people will wait until the end, but we want to give, if you're on right now, take your cell phone out, scan the QR code. Anybody can actually we're going to show you here in a second of how we're harnessing all of the incredible data and insights that you're collecting to help you unlock and transform your database into that more predictable profit engine for your business. Scan that QR code. And so we'll actually do a free analysis for you where we're going to break down where your leads are in their path to purchase, who they are, what type of prospect are they? And then how to talk to them, how to reach them. And then Mira will overlay that with how do we make sure that that is all in a clearly defined process so that you can scale your operations. As you continue to grow your database, the database can now become an even more powerful engine for you as you're moving forward. So we're going to open it up to those that are in attendance to ask a little bit more around like how many contacts you all have in your database to date. We've seen people who are just a couple hundred leads. There's Sphere. We've worked with some brokerages that have hundreds and thousands of leads that are in their database. So feel free at this point to jump into the chat. Tell us how many contacts that you have in that database as we're moving along, and we'll touch on that as we're moving forward. But again, every single lead that you have in your database is a potential transaction. If you're in it for the long haul, let's not focus on the next 90 days or 6 months. Every opportunity will eventually transact, and they may transact one time, or they may possibly transact 5, 6, 7 times over the lifespan of that user. And the key is making sure that you show up at the right time with the right message in the way that they want to be communicated with. And so for those, feel free to jump in the chat with any of those. We'll touch on them at the end. But our goal here is with your database, as it pertains to it becoming an asset for your organization, we are going to show you how you can acquire, retain, and maximize your leads in your database on autopilot, how to do that, and to do it in a way that is predictable, that is scalable, and at the end of the day, that is transferable. And those are the three big things: is how do we get all of our people in our community understanding that, yeah, it's going to cost you the most to acquire any new customer, generating leads. But if you're in the business of just churning and burning and you're not really analyzing that lead as they work their way down your funnel, that hurts your profitability and your bottom line. Also, how do you retain your past clients? I think we all know the stat that most of your past clients don't end up transacting with you again because either you don't stay in touch with them or their neighbor happens to have their license, and lo and behold that they work with them. So how do we make sure that you have the data and information at your fingertips right away? And then how do you have that process in place that ensures that it is easy to repeat day in and day out, and so that you're no longer reacting, you have a engine. And so whatever third-party tech platform that you decide to plug into your system, it has a way of producing predictable results that are scalable. And then ultimately, if somebody knocked on your door in the future, everybody exits. If somebody knocked on your door, what asset do you have later on in your career that you can hand over to somebody else and say, this is a profit engine for you now? And how do you maximize the return on this information? Because we're all investing time, whether we're out there at open houses, we're shaking hands at the local events, our communities, that's time. And we're also investing money as well. And so we want to make sure that you can have a return on that in the future. So that's what we're going to be going through.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump into a few additional things, and then we're going to get into just what this actually looks like in motion. So a big problem that we see oftentimes with a number of our clients, Mira, right, is a lot of activity. A lot of activity that can be distracting. And a lot of those platforms promote, hey, we're going to wake up that database. We're going to get people clicking, opening, perception of hand raisers. And then oftentimes what happens is we have to assign resources to go and attend to that activity, whether it's agents on your team, whether it's an inside sales team, or if you have a third party, we see conversational AI or drip text campaigns and those things that end up being the communication vehicles going after that activity. At the end of the day, we all know that people like to click around. They like to poke their head in and see. They're the nosy neighbors. And so that activity doesn't actually trickle down to intent. And so you see that promotion of the ding factor. And that ultimately distracts your valuable time and resources that you have at your disposal. And you're chasing the wrong things. And it's because you just don't have the full picture. You may have, in this case, you can see clicks, email opens. You don't know if that is, again, the neighbor. You don't know, again, if that person is thinking about transacting. And so the
Mm.
power of
You
the
don't have the
platform,
data.
you don't have the data to make those decisions. Absolutely. And
Right.
so how do you decipher that? Well, at the end of the day, your data needs to become an asset within your organization, making sure that it's clean and accurate. So, especially as we are entering Q4, that database cleanup is so important. How do we make sure that we're scrubbing incorrect information? How do we make sure that if you're missing or you can supplement address information, accurate phone number information, to make sure that you have a sturdy foundation? And of course, we all know the platforms that we're working with. I'm like, all right, now the data is there. Now let's get to work on using it. And then with Mira is, where do you focus? You have all of this activity, a lot of hand raisers, and it becomes problematic, time wasted on talking to the wrong people, and potentially the wrong message.
Right.
And so, with
Um,
that being said, I want to jump in and show you what now you have the ability to do is, with a few clicks of the button and a quick setup, is to harness all of the incredible first party information that we've talked about. We've talked about, if you're a follow up boss customer in that CRM, all of the incredible information that's flowing through there. We want to make sure that you're no longer renting that information and that you have the ability to use it within your decision matrix within your organization. And that's what Mira and her team do an exceptional job of doing. And so let's jump into the platform in and of itself. And so, Agent Legend, we're in the business of the data and analysis of the leads and really effectively helping you reach the right customers with the right message at the right time. Those three key principles. And if we do that correctly, we can impact the bottom line in a more positive manner. Agent Legend, our company, has been around for nearly 10 years in the form of drip text, voicemails, emails, and helping agents just get more out of their time each and every single day. But in our world, as costs continue to increase, costs of messaging is continuing to increase, the intentionality around who you're reaching out to becomes paramount. And so we all know this as consumers. I mean, how many text messages do you get on your phone these days? How many just checking in messages do you get? The goal here is that we are now bringing more intentionality to the equation, and so that you can create a better customer experience from day one. And so that is what we are able to do now, using and harnessing the data. And so what our system does is we are pulling in first party information, and that information can come from Follow Up Boss, any CRM that's available to us right now, and then also lead sources, Fellow, Real Scout, Rooster, those great platforms that generate, they wake things up and they get people coming back to you, because that's big, right? We want them coming back to your digital storefront. And then the next stage of that is to filter through those. If you get 100 new activities daily, you're going to start with my new leads, and then when you have time, you're going to work on those other people that engage with your content, and that you should assign salespeople to, or an inside sales team, for example. And so that's where we overlay third party intent signals. And that's the big data and artificial intelligence arm that we bring to the table. And so, what we do at Agent Legend, Lily is our 24/7 database manager. What she's doing is she is taking that great first party data and then actually looking at who just recently bought or sold a home, who just refied, who just purchased, for those that are on the mortgage side. And she's looking for lookalikes in that database of, hey, what were these people doing that maybe if you didn't have that information at your disposal, such as what were they buying? What other websites were they searching on? What other life events did they have? And historically, those were kind of two different worlds. There's other platforms that exist that can help you go and grab that third party data set, the life event data, for example, right? And how do we marry that up with first party information? And when we do that, that is where the power is. And this is what the system does. And so it's one thing to bring the data in-house. And I'll walk you through a couple of these key data points as we're going through this. But the first thing you'll see is this is a client that has 81,783,000 contacts assets in their database right then and there. That's huge. And so of that, well, the other key thing that we're looking at is, hey, what is our match rate? What's our ability to actually tie name, phone, and email? Generally, that's what our databases provide us. We don't know who those people are. Lily does. And so she's effectively matching to 45% of that database, roughly half. So let's just say 40,000 people. We mentioned, Mira, about cleaning up the database. And so the first thing that we do is we'll clean it up with a click of a button. You just go in and enrich it. And so there's platforms that are out there that you can do that. This is one service. And so we'll go out and source. If you're missing accurate phones, emails, addresses, you can do that at a click of a button. And now that asset becomes even more valuable. You have more information and accurate information. That's the first point.
Which
The
is
next thing, go ahead,
just
Mary.
on this part. Sorry, Steve. This
Yeah.
part is huge. Like, I have a client, we're working together. She's running a lot of ads on home value, and people will put their address, but they wouldn't put their phone number or email or even their name. And
Mhm.
like, we want to send you the home value, but you're not providing us with anything. And she's paying for those leads. So it's basically like, it's just like someone there, it's a contact sitting in her CRM with their address, but like how she can communicate with them. So this is like, and she's actually using Agent Legend, and we were having a strategy session the other day. I'm like, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna get it to Agent Legend. They are gonna filter through it. They are gonna clean up all the data before we turn on any automation, and just so we make sure that we're actually like all these data that is like context that you have, they are actual data, and we can actually get in touch with them and like see where they are in the process and start working them.
100%. Yeah, and that's, the goal of that lead gen provider is to provide the least amount of friction. And so they're going to ask a limited number of questions. But for us as the end user, as the ones that have commission dollars at the end of the equation, knowing, for example, and we'll go into some of these data points, when that lead comes in, you mentioned it. Yeah, that data, huge.
Right.
What Lily is able to do is she knows, is this a first-time home buyer? Is it a move-up buyer? Do they have a home to sell? Is it a downsizer? Is it an investor, luxury buyer? We've grouped and we've packaged these individuals up just like the largest companies in the world do day in and day out to create a more personalized experience, to offer me as a consumer the stuff that I want, because that's the trick. And so if we use that as the foundation, now not only are you getting name, phone, email, great, but imagine the power of this as a team leader in being able to assign leads not based on source or price points, but to assign leads to the people who know best how to empathize and have more emotional intelligence. Connection is key in our industry. And so, how do you connect a lead with the right person on your team that can effectively close the deal from day one? That is a great application. And so, as we get into your standard operating procedures, all of those things should be in a decision matrix, is to say, we have the data, which is our first pillar. And now it is, what the heck do we do with it? And so Lily will tell you, in most cases, people care about where do they fall in the path to purchase. And so we know this. Most leads, whether you're generating pay-per-click, Facebook leads, whatever those lead sources tend to be, most of them, and conversion rates tell us this, most of them aren't going to be ready to transact right away. You'll know that right away. You will know, is this person just getting started in their journey, right? Or have they actively offline before they gave you their information? Have they been, maybe they just had a baby. Maybe they got a pay raise at work. Maybe they have purchased goods and services that other people who recently transacted actually did. And so you'll know exactly when that lead comes in on day one, who falls into that bucket. The application, though, is 6 months down the line. Somebody that fell into the cold lead bucket to begin with, they're no longer trash or dead or in a lead pool. You can now make sure that you have the logic built into your system that ensures the moment that anybody jumps into the hot lead bucket, that you are investing the time and money into those people. This is where you generate ROI in your business. Here, that is automation in its own right. That is the awesome action plans that our Follow Up Boss users use. Any of those other systems that are generating those activities, we want to keep bringing the cold leads back, the warm leads back, because if you keep them in your universe, they're less likely to go into a different universe and get repackaged and resold to your nearest and dearest competitor. And that's the key, is how do you as a consumer, I'm probably in 10 different databases just here in Minneapolis. And so I'm getting reached out to from all these different angles, and I'm nowhere near ready to make a decision. And so what happens? Opt outs increase, unsubscribes increase. And when that happens in your database, now it's dead. Now you are crippled and you can no longer communicate with them. So being able to reach the right people at the right time is here. Time should be hot leads. Let's now
Right.
engage with them. And
With the right,
that the right message, huge. And we'll
yeah.
get into the message too as we go. Let's go into, I'm going to just show you how we use this, because it's one thing to say, cool, data and insights for those that are like, the so what factor. Well, now I can actually click in and interact. These are all of the leads in my database today that are hot, right? That are ready to go. And so I can go even deeper though. I can break this down based on, hey, tell me who my first time home buyers are that are ready to transact. I want to create a campaign, or I have a piece of information that would be key for them. Hey, best neighborhoods to live in, or the hottest areas for first time home buyers. The We have investment property opportunities for my investors that are out there. Right now, you're able to customize that journey for the people on in your database. You can break it down based on source. So when it comes to auditing all of the lead gen companies, there's thousands of them that we come across. We've worked with all. They're sending leads into our system. And so how do you analyze and say, hey, I'm okay paying a dollar per lead for this source, just as long as I have the system and process that Mira puts in place to have them come out on the other end in 12 plus months, perhaps. But I'm willing to do that. The ROI happens to be there. So you can audit your lead sources with this. You'll know household income. So, hey, what properties am I sending them? If I'm deploying email campaigns out to people, or through my website, for example, and I'm setting up people on searches, we've seen individuals now group their database with this information at their fingertips. Direct mail, handwritten letters are another popular use case. How do I make sure that I'm spending more money and time, maybe more mailers on the hot leads, for example, as I'm working through these individuals? The big piece here is, okay, what do we do with them? So it's as simple as selecting the leads. And there's a couple different things that you'll unlock here. For all of our active users, we run campaigns. So at the core of what Agent Legend has been doing for 10 years, communications. We know how to deliver messages and making sure that they're compliant to people, right? That's what we do. Our deliverability rates are 96% and above. So we're going to be able to help you engage with these people. But now that campaigns are no longer generic, it's not a just checking in. You can create better experiences for these leads by assigning them to a campaign. Conversational AI as well, popular use case. How do we make sure that we just assign them to an always on sales agent within my organization? The other big thing for those that are Follow Up Boss users specifically, I can tag these people back into my database. That is huge to create your smart lists. Imagine just creating them and making them smarter. Imagine being able to have just that tag that maybe assigns them or routes them to the right agents on your team, or perhaps routes them into an appropriate action plan that you've already designed that is more specific for an audience, and now able to do that. And so we're not going to go into too much more depth in terms of all of the different ways that you can use this information. But the key here is that now you have the information, and now I want to turn it over to Mira, she's the wizard that then says, all right, great. The information's there. We have it. Now what? Mira, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. That was amazing. I was taking notes myself. Uh, all right. So let me share my screen and kind of walk you through what's next. So if we have now we have the data, now we know like everything about the leads that we have in our system, everything is great. Okay, how we turn this like knowledge into like an applied, like make it from just knowledge into applied knowledge and have that power. So I want to walk you through like a few steps that I put. It's just three simple steps, and you can take this as your guide. Like once you like have the data, have all the information, just do this. So the first things that what already Steve mentioned of like the data cleaning. We want to make sure that you have a clean data, you have all the phone numbers, all the correct emails, addresses, you have everything. So you have like a really solid foundation that you're gonna start from. The second thing is that step two is a strategy. Everything is a strategy. So with the strategy, it's okay. Now we know all about these like the different segments, who they are, whether they are sellers, buyers, whether they are hot, warm, and cold, they are first time, they are luxury. We know a lot about them. We need to discuss a strategy. So there are two layers of a strategy. There's if you want to take it like have it just simple and go about it simple, just like go with like seller, buyer, and where they are in the process, whether they are hot, warm, and cold. We want to segment them. The second one is like the second layer is the advanced. So if you want to, so they are buyers, but they are first time buyer. So if you want to go with that, like that more in depth of like who they are, which this is already what Agent Legend gives you. It's just like you need to make a decision of like how you're gonna segment them or how you're gonna start getting in touch with them. Because once you figure out your strategy, the customization part comes in place. And what Steve was just talking about is just like offering them what they want and what they need. And the first example that comes to my mind is Netflix. If you're using Netflix and you're like watching a show or something, Netflix always like gives you like similar shows and it does not show you anything else. So we also want to do the same thing with our leads or the people that we have our data, is that we give them what they want. Step number three is go all in. So you have the data, you have a good foundation, you know everything about them, you have a clean data. Step two, you know the strategy, you have a strategy or a clear picture of like how you're gonna engage with those leads. And then now step three is going all in. So going all in, creating email campaigns. Depending on like whether you want to go with layer number one or layer number two, creating a specific email campaigns for them in terms of email and text messages. And then once you have your email campaigns, I'm not sure what CRM you're using. You may be using Follow Up Boss or HubSpot or another tool, whatever that's called in your CRM. In that case, I'm using Follow Up Boss. You would need to set up your action plan of like how many times you're gonna engage with those leads, and for how long, and whether you're gonna text them or only email them or only call them, and what does that look like. Everyone is gonna be customized towards like whether they are hot, warm, and cold, or downsizing first buyer, whatever the strategy you're planning to take. And then step number two, this is actually step number three. You're gonna set up your automation. So like make sure that like let's say what Steve was mentioning about Agent Legend is that you can add a tag, and that tag will be your trigger to be able to like fire that automation. And then you can set up again, if you're using any CRM that you're using, you can set up a list so you're able to see those people in a better way and know where everyone is at. And then eventually those people will start interacting with your action plans and all the campaigns that you're firing up. And then you start getting your return on investment with your time, with like the money that you put into it. And yeah, and
So
mainly like knowing where your time is.
yeah, one thing that I love about your service, right? There's services that are out there that kind of have a standardized approach.
Mhm.
Um, Unbroken Consulting, they actually do like custom, right? Like your business sometimes is more of a snowflake, and so like the in depth process that you guys run for each and every one of your clients is great because we provide the data and information or any of those platforms, right? And then it's like, what the heck do you do with it? And this, what you showed, like that's a very, I would say, kind of the generic breakdown, but now you can take these instructions and you can apply them across your organization. And so for those that are trying to grow, right, is that just makes it so easily repeatable and scalable through in that organization. And now if you have it in a process map, our COO, she does this all the time. Like that is a certain mindset that it is very difficult to be a really great salesperson, but have that operational focus. And that's the critical layer here. Like some people they're a unicorn and they have both of those. Most don't, right? We're
Right.
shooting from the hip. We're chasing the shiny objects. We're chasing the next lead. We're chasing the hot leads or anything in the system. But
Yeah.
being able to have a process behind it that produces a predictable results that is measurable is huge.
Right.
And that's what the best companies do. That's what the companies that have more, enterprise value ultimately when it comes to selling or growing in general and making sure they're more profitable. At the end of the day, you know exactly where your time and money is being spent on which groupings, and then you know where to invest your dollars, who's
Right.
generating the most return. So that map is, it has a generic feel, but I can tell you it's not. It is much more in depth for each and every one of you, just dependent upon that your business day in and day out.
Right. Yeah. And this is just like a very simple example. I know this may look confusing for some people. Some people love it, but most people are visual. And then when we work with any clients, we really dig deep into what does the process look like from the very first moment where that lead is interacting with you to the very end of like closing or putting them on longer drip campaign. And also that another layer, which is like the data that you have already in your system and how we're going to segment them and who they are, and just the process that I walked you through previously. It's just like going a little bit deeper into that and building customized strategic campaigns based on who they are.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah. So we're 30 minutes into this. Our goal was to make sure that we really highlighted again the immense opportunity that's out there. I mean, the adoption of technology was the first evolution. Now you have all of this information that is available to everyone. Whether in our goal, like in real estate terms, like would you rather own it or rent it? We want to make sure that you own it. And this is the ultimate way in which to get started. And then it informs the rest of your decisions that you're making and the investments that you're making to grow your business in the future, because it all starts with the data, then it starts with the process, and then it's the implementation of that process. And so to wrap this up, we'll share back to our slides here just for those that joined a little bit late. Is if you wanted to get started, the easiest way, again, this is completely free for you. There's no charge to it. Our team will set it up for you, is you can actually get a free database analysis, and you'll identify the hidden opportunities that are in your database. You'll figure out those segmentations within your database. And so for those of you that have that need and want to get started, scan that QR code, get started. And we'd love to have our team and resources get to work with you. Mira's put together a great starting template as well that we provide back as we go through those analysis calls for anybody that is of interest for that. And so with that being said, we will open it up to a brief Q&A for those that stuck on. I think we just got a couple attendees here at this point, but if there's any questions that we can answer, we're happy to do so for the next couple of minutes. If there's not any questions, we'll let everybody get on with their day. So I'll turn it over. I think we got one question from Steve. Great name, by the way. Awesome. Love it. Steve Stinson, you had asked, are you tracking contact behavior just in my ecosystem? Or also what they're doing on the internet, i.e. other website they visit, purchases they make, all that. Great. So yes, I think I mentioned it briefly, but where our data comes from, I mean, again, you think about cookie behavior. That's a big one, right? When you go to a website and you accept cookies, those companies, they use that information, they'll repackage and they sell it. And so we're buying that information, and that helps us with one of the data sets. We have over 1,600 unique data points at the household level across over 270 million households that we're looking at. That's the in-depth stuff. And at the end of the day, that's our goal is if they're not in your system, they're offline somewhere else. And we want to help you bring them back and identify. And that's the power of that third-party data set that now brings it back into the fold. You've done the work of generating the opportunity. We want to bring them back to you. Yes, we do integrate with Sync. We can connect in there and help in harvesting those. If there's any platforms, right, there's all sorts of different platforms. We always ask, hey, ask your company that you're working with to open up that information for you. You should have the opportunity to analyze it in your own business versus letting them use it, because they sure as heck are, as well as they develop their product as well. John, scan that QR code that's on the screen. That will get, or you can go to any one of our websites, Mira or Agent Legend. Mira is actually one of our partners that we'll use with any of the implementation of this. So you can go to our website. You can also scan that QR code. That will get you direct access into us as well. Cool. Jamie, yeah, scan the QR code for if you are joining late. That is the easiest way to get started. And then we'll show you just the power of what you already have. So that's the first step of just, again, unlocking the information. And then after that conversation, it's a matter of what you do with it to implement it. That's the power of Mira and her company, or as you're thinking about any other third-party resource to help you in growing your business. Perfect. Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions, guys. So we can wrap this up. Mira, any final parting thoughts that you want to give before we jump off?
I think this is amazing. I love it. I like work with my clients and I'm like, it's awesome. One of the things that I just want to briefly mention is that we're also, based on this data, we're also are able to segment people into two categories of like whether they are sales or they are marketing. Because there's the people that you would market to and there's the people that you do more sales to. And I think Agent Legend does a great job of like telling us enough information about this data, everyone that you have in your system, and based on that we're able to use this data and just turn it into like money basically, and know where to spend your time. So it's amazing what you do. And yeah, thanks for everyone that joined us today.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mira. We'll be doing this again. So, stay tuned. This will all be on our social platforms, as well as if you registered but weren't able to attend live, you'll be receiving the recording. So appreciate everybody. Reach out with any questions that you have.
Sorry, Steve, real quick. John is asking, is there a CRM required to use Agent Legend?
No. So just a quick note on that, John, it won't be live. So when we connect directly with the CRM, it's dynamic. And so we're able to take any new information that's flowing day in and day out. But you can upload a CSV file. We do a lot of that with like direct mail programs. So yes, reach out to us. We're happy to assist with whatever that use case looks like. All right, let's wrap it. Appreciate it, Mira. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Bye-bye.
Everyone, bye.